It's often said that being a leader can feel lonely. You can't share how you feel with your team or your superiors. Your peers, if you have any, might not even relate, and dumping on your partner may not do that relationship much good either. So, what do you do? Well, in this video, I'll explore the dynamics of solitude so that you can start to cherish being alone without feeling lonely or isolated. Let's start with how leadership promotes isolation. It's pretty obvious that whether you're leading a team or an organization, you're not going to share your innermost thoughts, feelings, and fears with every Tom, Dick, and Harry that works with or for you. To do so would be risky at best, career limiting at worst. Radical candor and vulnerability may sound like the latest way of turbocharging your leadership, but in practice, they risk sabotaging it instead. It all comes down to intention. If you're sharing thoughts, feelings, perceptions with colleagues because they need to know and will help them fulfill their duties as a result, go right ahead and don't hold back. But if, on the other far more lightly hand, you feel compelled to share in order to offload, to lean on someone else, and to make yourself feel better, even momentarily, then that's a red flag telling you it's the wrong path to go down. You need to be pretty astute and tuned in to make this call, since your ego can do a great job of convincing you that others need to know when they really don't, when the real compulsive need is to dilute your feelings by roping someone else in to share the load, whether they want to or not. To deny yourself the impulse to share can indeed leave you feeling frustrated and isolated, privy to things that no one else suspects. This is the so called burden of leadership, carrying a load that you cannot split with anyone else. It's a lonely business. So, how do you deal with this syndrome and enter a world where solitude does not make you lonely? Well, the first step is the realization that being alone is not a pathological state. It is simply one version of us as individuals. Individual doesn't mean separate from, it means not divisible. It's the smallest quantum of humanity. You might be able to split a person in two, but you will kill them in the process. The individual is complete within themselves. You are complete within yourself. All of us are physically mortal, but once born, that mortality is not continuously dependent on anyone else. Right now, all we need is air. So, being solitary is a perfectly normal state to be in. After all, our experience of birth, sleep, and death are all solitary, regardless of those at the bedside. Of course, we need social interaction, at least most of us do. It nourishes, stimulates, and challenges us into new and expansive experiences of body and mind. But we don't need others in order to be who we really are. In fact, frequently, our relationships take us away from who we are. Perhaps this is why in 1818, the German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer wrote, "A man can be himself only so long as he is alone. If he does not love solitude, he will not love freedom, for it is only when he is alone that he is really free." Often, the reason that some of us get bored, listless, or depressed when we are alone is that we're keeping bad company. We are bad company for ourselves. And if that's the case, you can be pretty sure that you don't make great company for anyone else either. So rather than trying to compensate for your own lack of good company by relying on others, make yourself good company for you first, and the rest will follow. How do you do that? You prioritize time with yourself. It doesn't have to be long. It can be a walk in the park, half an hour with a book, listening to music. The only condition is that you need to be conscious, aware, and awake, just as you would be with someone else. You are just as important, worthy of attention. Give it to yourself freely. Rinse and repeat. The inner dialogue, which often accompanies solitude, is also perfectly normal. Let it be. Which brings us to the next step of acceptance. Our judgmental minds champ at the bit to write something or someone off as being below par, dysfunctional, broken, or unwanted, including ourselves. Practice catching the verdicts of a judgment and replace them with acceptance. Acceptance in the knowledge that everything which is the perfectly natural consequence of what was. Life does not make mistakes. Remember that other famous adage, there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. And our thoughts are artifices which we mistake for reality. They have their place, but not as replacements for what is. So the third step is to constantly remember that whatever we think, useful as it may well be, is not the reality we may believe it to be. Armed with these insights, solitude can be a place of reflection, inspiration, and wisdom that many relationships struggle to attain. And far from a place of loneliness, it becomes lush and abundant with life, truth, and beauty. Deep solitude eventually displaces all sense of loneliness with the freedom of which Schopenhauer speaks, and transforms the burdens of leadership which many of us yearn to share, with a deep sense of peace which comes with acceptance. If you enjoyed this video, check out my Are You Leading or Just Managing scorecard. Link in the description, and subscribe to this channel for more. Thank you for listening.